Hello everyone, it's an honor and a privilege for me to speak to you today. Unfortunately, I was unable to schedule visiting you in person, so I appear to you through the magic of video. Although I'm sure that I have met many of you already, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm Frank Garza from the United States, and I'm a World Boxing Council referee. And recently had the opportunity in Japan to meet and work with your new GAB chairman, the Honorable Richard Santos Claren. Mr. Claren's office asked me to address you on a subject of my choice regarding refereeing, and I'm only happy to do so. As a brief background, I have for a number of years, along with the late Mr. Hubert Min, and also with fellow referee Mr. Bruce McTavish, conducted the training seminars for the WBC officials. In addition to the WBC seminars, my late colleague Mr. Min and I had worked on constructing seminars for officials of different levels and experience. With Mr. Min focusing on the judging, while I focused on the refereeing. Our collaboration was based on trust. We had a mutual trust for one another in how we taught our lessons. However, we had a common thread. From the very beginning, when we first met, we connected when we spoke about integrity. An official must develop and protect their integrity and that of the sport. Long before I met Hubert, I had a saying that I lived by, and I still do today, and that is, the one thing that will always see you through is your integrity. So on my end, I began to develop a program outlining the basic knowledge and requirements needed for an individual to officiate a professional boxing match as a referee. Now, my program defines the role of the referee as well as identifying the qualities needed in obtaining the skills to becoming a boxing referee. So let's get started by asking the question, what is the role of the referee? Now, I believe everyone automatically will answer, to protect the safety and well-being of the boxer. And there should be no argument that this is the primary number one job of the referee. But in my book, there's more. The referee should also ensure the integrity of the sport, the local commission, the sanctioning body, and himself. And last but not least, that whoever wins does so on their own accord. That the referee does not insert himself in the final decision of the bout by actions or lack of actions on his part during the bout. In other words, you can easily under-officiate as well as over-officiate. So let's review the role of the referee. Protect the safety and well-being of the boxer, ensure the integrity of the sport, local commission, sanctioning body, and himself, and that whoever wins does so on their own accord without any or lack of influence by the referee. Sounds easy, doesn't it? But it's not. And it's a process to get there. So the question now is, how do we get there? How do we get the knowledge? How do we get the mindset to carry out being a referee? My experience, which I want to share with you, has taught me that a referee must understand the importance and practice the following 5 items. And they are understanding the rules, preparation, teamwork, proper mechanics, good judgment, compassion, and ethics. Up to this point, we have defined the following. First, what is the role of the referee? And we defined the how. That is, what's needed to achieve or carry out the role. And the next definition that we need to ask is the why. Why are we going through all of this? Are you asking yourself, is it really this complicated? Is it really this hard? Well, let me ask you, if you were to use a blowtorch and you never had, do you just pick it up and say, okay, let's have a go? If you never used a chainsaw, would you just pick it up and start cutting lumber? Maybe some of you could, but some of you would be short a few fingers and toes at the end of the day. So to simply answer the question, why is this? We do this to minimize risk. For this module, I have chosen to speak about preparing yourself for an assignment on a championship level. Since I am speaking to referees with a wide range of expertise, please know that some of the things that I touch on will not be applicable to you. So please use your own judgment to ascertain what applies to you and your level of experience. So now let's have a discussion on how to prepare yourself as a referee before a fight. I've broken down preparedness into 12 sequences. The first one is always be ready. No assignment is guaranteed, and you never know when they will receive an assignment. On that alone, you must take the responsibility to be ready both physically and mentally whenever the call comes. And how do you do this? For me, I incorporate a daily exercise program. Nothing rigid. Some days I walk, some days I run, some days I ride a bicycle. Some days I lift weights, but as you can see, I am not what you would consider a GQ model. But I do enough so that I'm not huffing and puffing around the ring. Review the rules. Now this is very important. I have a place on my desk that has the WBC rules, my home state boxing rules, and rules from other locations that I officiate. I also read a magazine called Referee, and this magazine has great articles about the philosophy of officiating. Though they are mainly about baseball and football, you'd be surprised how much is applicable from one sport to another. Work on puzzles. Do some problem solving. Reading anything that stimulates the mind. You see, being ready, I believe, is having the mindset that refereeing is an everyday job, whether you're in the ring or not. Second, your equipment. You know, when the referee steps in the ring, the audience sees the person in dress pants, a dress shirt, and a bow tie. Now, is that all the equipment a referee needs? So you get a call for the assignment. Do you go to the closet, get the pants and shirt out, and take off? What if the assignment is out of town or out of the country? What are the things that you're going to need? You're going to need a passport and in some cases a visa. And you should have copies of these with you at all times. You should have an annual physical, and you should make sure that your shots and immunizations are up to date. You should have your uniform ready to go, your rule book, your travel clothing, a valid credit card, a phone that works in the country you are traveling to, your daily medications and personal toiletries. Do you have all these items set aside and ready to go at a moment's call? You should. And in today's world, a passport is no longer attainable at the last minute. In fact, my last renewal took me 2 months to complete. 3, what do you do when you're notified of an assignment? Assignments are usually received via email, sometimes by phone. Is your contact information up to date? You know, if your commission cannot get a hold of you, then they cannot assign you. And as a former boxing commissioner, I know this to be true. When you receive an assignment, state your availability and notify the WBC office or your assigner as soon as possible so the promoter can make travel arrangements if necessary. Review your availability to travel, taking into consideration the effect it will have on your family, your work, your health. That you do have a valid passport and a visa. Do you have any restrictions on traveling from your country to another? Is there any conflict of interest between you and the boxer, or the promoter, or the fight? Are any special immunizations needed into the country that you're going to? Should you review the fight films of the boxers that you're going to referee? That's a good question. You know, some commissions send video to their referees and ask the referees to review. I personally do not like this, and I do not review fight films. I never want to enter into the ring with a predetermined or biased point of view. I would rather enter the ring knowing that whatever circumstance should come up, that I have the confidence in myself to handle the situation on my experience, knowledge, and skill. Now, if you cannot accept the assignment for any reason, it's not a problem. The WBC or your commission will appreciate your honesty. There will be others to come, so notify the office as soon as possible so that another official can be assigned. Now you accept the assignment. What happens next? Travel arrangements. Await contact from the promoter regarding your travel. Have in hand, ready to send via email, a copy of your passport, the name and code of an airport most convenient for you to travel to, dates available for your travel, the promoter's itinerary, review the dates of travel, the departure and return, inform the promoter if travel arrangements are acceptable, and request from the promoter the name and address of hotel for your stay, because you may need that to get through immigration. Have a list of the phone numbers of the supervisor, the promoter, the other officials, the person to pick you up from the hotel and the airport. Have all your equipment, your personal usage items, medication, whatever you need for the trip. And it's best to travel with just one carry-on luggage to avoid any loss of luggage on the trip. Again, have a copy of your passport or visa, and having some foreign currency is helpful. You should have a credit card that is valid in the country you are visiting, and make sure that you notify your bank that you will be in this country and what dates you are so that your card is not frozen or shut off when you try to use it. I advise never using a debit card for security reasons. Always have the phone number of your country's embassy. Now, let's talk about responsibility. It's your responsibility to make sure that your passport is valid. It's also your responsibility to make sure that your passport has the correct number of empty pages. It's also your responsibility to check in the country that you're going the passport requirements. Some require 1 or 2 blank pages. Some require an expiration date not less than 6 months. How are you going to get to the airport? Is that your responsibility or the promoter? If your assignment is in another city, how do you get there? These are all your responsibilities, and you need to find those out before you go. Now, what happens when you arrive at your destination? The first thing is to clear customs if necessary, and to meet the person who is there to pick you up. When you're going to the hotel from the airport, take special note of traffic and travel time so that on your return, you can allot for enough time to make your flight. When you get to the hotel, you may be asked to leave a credit card and your passport. I recommend not turning your passport over. That's why I carry a copy, and most hotels will be more than willing to accept that. And make sure that the credit card is only going to be used for your incidentals. Notify the supervisor that you have arrived. Get with him to get your agenda for the weigh-in, the rule meeting, any other events, meals, etc. One of the things that you'll be attending is the weigh-in. And if you have to attend the weigh-in, or you want to do so on your own, the number one thing is stay out of the way. Keep a low profile. Do not talk to the press. Now ask your supervisor whether you need to be licensed. Do you need to have a physical exam? But always, always keep a low profile. After the weigh-in, it's customary for the rule meeting to occur. The supervisor is the person in charge, not you. So take note if any WBC rules are waived, and if and what the local rules are in effect that may differ. Be prepared to answer questions on interpretation of rules. Note the time of departure to the arena, the arrival of the boxers, the time of the bout, and advice when you will enter the dressing room for the pre-fight instructions. Do not go into the dressing room for the instructions without the supervisor. Now, do you know how to inspect hand wraps? If you're asked to do so and you do not know how to wrap hands, then please remove yourself from this task. Do you need an interpreter? If so, ask the supervisor for one. Ask the supervisor and the local commission that you would like to speak to the ringside physician and the timekeepers upon arrival at the venue, and if they could introduce you to them. You'd like to go over the red card and the green card with the physician, and you would also like the timekeeper to do the 10-second warning for you so you have a feeling of how it sounds. Now we're at the day of the bout. It's fight day. And whether you're a surgeon or an athlete, developing a routine or ritual and adhering to it before performing your duties is a vital key to a successful outing. As a referee, what are some of your pre-fight practices that you should consider incorporating? Number one is adequate rest. You should have a good night's sleep the evening before your bout, and it's essential, but just as important is the afternoon of the day of your bout. Remember, your bout will more than likely be the last bout of the evening, and it may be past your regularly scheduled bedtime. Therefore, it is wise to find out the scheduled time of your ring appearance and decide whether an afternoon nap is in order. Having an agile mind. The less you have to think about, the clearer your mind will be for your bout. Therefore, the day before the bout, or as soon as possible, try to gather all the information you need regarding how you're getting to the arena, how you're getting back, when you depart to the airport on your return home, and any other vital information not relevant to the fight itself. This way, you can give your full attention to your task at hand. Alcohol. Abstaining from alcohol a minimum of 24 hours prior to your bout is highly recommended, but in absences of 48 hours is more preferred. Light stomach. Each person should be in tune to their bodily needs and should act accordingly when it comes to their pre-fight meals. I strongly advise not consuming meals or food products that are not a part of your regular daily diet. Special consideration should be given to water, a vital necessity for everyday life, and it is best not left for chance, and I strongly advise purchasing an adequate supply for your entire stay, if not provided. The time of eating your pre-fight meal is just as important as to what you consume. By knowing the scheduled start time of your bout, as well as your departure to the arena, you can calculate the best time for you to eat. If possible, consider taking a sandwich along just in case hunger creeps in and no food is available at the venue. Last but not least is the amount you consume. Best to eat just enough to sustain yourself till after your bout. Fight day, and you arrive at the venue. You know, as ideal as it may be to have a visit to the venue prior to its opening, it's highly probable that when you arrive on the day of the event, that this will be your first exposure to the venue, and that the undercard is in progress. Therefore, it is imperative to familiarize yourself with the following and introduce yourself to the following individuals as soon as possible: the officials' room, the contestants' dressing rooms, the emergency medical transport, the ringside physicians, the timekeepers, the inspectors, and officials. Develop in your mind a direct path from ringside to the officials' room, the contestants' dressing rooms, and other places you may need to be at, including the restroom. After identifying and introducing yourself to the doctors and the timekeepers and other officials and other personnel associated with the production of the show, Review with them what and where you will be and when you will be entering the ring. Review with the doctors their duties. If there's a language barrier, use the red and green card policy. Speak to the timekeepers. Review their 10-second warning before the start of the round, before ending the round. No saving by the bell in any round. The knockdown count. Familiarize yourself with the sounds of their equipment and their ringside location. Pre-fight instructions. The importance of the instructions in the dressing room. Enter it like you're entering a crime scene. Do you need an interpreter? Introduce yourself to the boxer. Identify the chief second. I highly recommend no media and no videotaping, and no one in the room that doesn't belong there. Check the boxer's equipment, and then go through your instructions. What you should say and what you should not say. Never say something to a boxer that you're not going to enforce. Keep your demeanor polite. Show respect to the boxer. Your dressing room instructions should be no longer than 3 minutes. The boxers are expected to know the rules already, so no need to go into detail. Here are my instructions. I enter the dressing room and I ask, "Who is the chief second, please?" I introduce myself to him. I say, "Nice to meet you. My name is Frank Garza, and I'm the referee assigned to your fighter's match. Before I talk to your boxer, I'd like to address a couple of items with you first. First of all, you are the person in charge of your corner, and you are responsible for everything that happens in your corner. Secondly, you are the only person authorized to be in the ring at any given time other than your boxer, and that includes when I give final instructions in the center of the ring. The only exception I will make is if you need your cut man in the ring to work on your fighter during the 1-minute rest period. If so, you will have to be outside the ring, on the ring apron, and only one person allowed in the ring with the boxer. That will be your cut man. If I take your boxer to the corner to repair equipment or to replace the mouthpiece, do it quickly and efficiently without any coaching or giving of water. If the corner inspector asks you to do something, then show him the same respect you would of me. You see, we're a team, and I'm probably the one who asked him to bring the issue up with you. Then ask, do you have any questions or concerns? If not, I move to the boxer, and I say to the boxer, that is a pleasure, that your fight is scheduled for X amount of rounds, that the 3 knockdown rule is not in effect, that any stoppage of the bout will be at my discretion. It is your responsibility to protect yourself at all times. If I say stop, you must stop punching and not throw any punches until I give the order to box. Then I ask to see his mouthpiece and his spare mouthpiece. And I say, if your mouthpiece comes off for any reason, keep fighting until I tell you to stop. I will wait till there's a lull in the action, call timeout, and have the corner replace the mouthpiece. If you knock your opponent down, go to the furthest neutral corner that I send you to. Stay there until I give the order to box. If you take your time going to the corner, or you leave the corner during my count, I will suspend my count, and this could cost you a knockout. Also, if you knock your opponent down, do not throw another punch. If you hit your opponent when he's down, I will have to decide whether the punch was a damaging blow, whether that boxer will need time to recover, and if necessary, can he continue? And you will be penalized, and that may be a deduction of 1 or 2 points, or even a disqualification. Rabbit punching. That's hitting your opponent on the back of the head or on the back of the neck. And I take a very hard stance on this foul. The scoring area for blows to the head is the front of the face from ear to ear. Anything behind the ear is considered the back of the head and neck. Now, if your opponent turns his head while throwing a punch that lands on the back, I'll warn them for turning their head. So once again, I take a very tough stance on this. So I'm giving you your first warning right now, here in the dressing room, and it's a very hard warning. In addition to rabbit punches, I'll be on the lookout for hitting on the break, punches in the kidneys, and blows to the back, holding and hitting, elbows, coming in with your forehead, hitting your opponent when he's down, spitting out your mouthpiece. Again, protect yourself at all times. Do you have any questions? Good. And then wish them good luck, shake hands, and leave. So, I hope that the next time we get to talk, that we'll be picking up another subject, and I look forward to seeing everyone soon. Thank you very much.